What's going on, WWE fans? You're watching The Ring Report, where the wrestling never stops. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's break it down. The energy inside the arena felt different, heavier, as if everyone in attendance sensed that the night was about to cross a line. Weeks of unanswered questions had conditioned the audience to expect chaos, and anticipation crackled through the building. A mysterious attacker had haunted WWE programming, striking without warning and vanishing just as quickly, leaving behind confusion and frustration. Fans weren't just watching anymore. They were hunting for clues. Every camera cut, every backstage shot carried tension. This wasn't a normal storyline simmering in the background. It felt intentional, slow burning, and dangerous. When the lights hit just right, and the crowd reached that collective pitch, it became clear that whatever was coming next would not simply advance the plot. It would redefine it, forcing consequences onto everyone involved and pushing emotions far beyond speculation. The mask finally comes off. The mystery reached its breaking point on a December episode of Raw that promised answers and delivered shock. After weeks of calculated interference, the hooded figure finally revealed himself as Austin Theory. The moment landed with surprise, but also confusion. Theory wasn't a returning legend or a forgotten villain. He was someone fans already knew well. His involvement reframed everything that came before it. The attacks, the timing, the alliances, all suddenly carried a different weight. Theory's reveal positioned him not as a lone agitator, but as a deliberate chess piece in a much larger strategy. He had chosen disruption as a shortcut to relevance, aligning himself with power rather than earning it. The mask coming off didn't end the mystery. Instead, it shifted the question from who to why, and who would respond first. A reveal that split the audience fan reaction was immediate and divided. Some appreciated the logic of Theory's turn, seeing it as a necessary evolution for a performer long stuck between promise and payoff. Others felt deflated, believing the build-up demanded a more seismic reveal. Online discourse reflected that split perfectly. Praise for the athleticism clashed with criticism of the creative direction. Theory was talented. No one disputed that, but perception mattered. Many still viewed him as unfinished, not yet credible enough to justify the gravity of the storyline. That lukewarm response mattered more than it seemed. It created a volatile, emotional landscape where Theory stood exposed, neither fully accepted nor fully rejected. That tension didn't weaken the story, it primed it. Because when expectations fracture, the reaction that follows becomes even more explosive. A champion who took it personally. CM Punk did not see Theory's actions as youthful ambition or storyline mischief. He saw disrespect. As World Heavyweight Champion, Punk views interference as a violation of something sacred, the legitimacy of competition. Theory's involvement at major events wasn't just an attack on rivals. It was an insult to the championship itself. Punk has never been a champion who waits patiently or chooses diplomacy. He responds directly and decisively. For him, the reveal on Raw wasn't closure. It was provocation. Punk doesn't separate business from personal when the title is involved. Anyone who undermines the structure he stands on becomes a target. Theory's youth, his status, his alliances, none of it mattered. What mattered was the message Punk intended to send next. SmackDown turns violent. When Punk appeared on SmackDown, it wasn't announced, teased, or softened. It was sudden and brutal. The attack on Austin Theory was not symbolic. It was physical punctuation. Punk didn't rush in and out. He stayed, delivering sustained punishment that felt raw and deliberate. Every strike carried intent. Every movement screamed ownership of the moment. This wasn't about revenge alone. It was about establishing hierarchy. Punk wanted the entire Wahoo to understand that age, Potential and alliances do not protect you from consequences. Theory wasn't being challenged. He was being tested. The violence wasn't random. It was instructional. Punk was teaching a lesson in real time, using theory as the example. Survivor Series and the long fuse. To understand Punk's intensity, the timeline matters. The seeds were planted at Survivor Series, where the masked interference directly altered outcomes. That moment lingered unresolved, gnawing at the champion's sense of order. Punk carries memory like a weapon. He does not forget slights, especially ones that affect championship integrity. The weeks of speculation only amplified that tension. By the time the reveal happened, the fuse had already burned dangerously low. SmackDown wasn't the start of Punk's anger. It was the release. Every unanswered question, every delayed confrontation fed into that eruption. This wasn't spontaneous rage. It was stored fury, unleashed with precision once the target was confirmed. Austin Theory at a career crossroads. For Austin Theory, this moment may define everything that follows. Being revealed as the mystery attacker put him back in focus, but Punk's response reframed that focus brutally. Now Theory stands exposed as either a rising threat or a convenient sacrifice. Punk clearly views him as the weakest link. Someone bold enough to interfere, but not yet strong enough to survive retaliation. That perception is dangerous. Theory now has only two paths forward. He can absorb the punishment and evolve, proving he belongs at the highest level. Or he can crumble under the pressure, becoming another footnote in Punk's dominant reign. The spotlight is unforgiving, and it's brighter now than it has ever been. A champion sending a warning. Punk's actions weren't just aimed at Theory. They were broadcast to the entire roster. This was a declaration of how his championship reign operates. There are no overlooked transgressions. There are no safe shortcuts. Anyone who interferes, manipulates, or undermines will be dealt with directly. Punk isn't playing the long game of avoidance. He's playing the game of confrontation. By attacking someone younger and less established, Punk reinforced that status doesn't dictate response. Behavior does. This approach strengthens his aura as champion. But it also invites chaos. Dominance creates enemies, and Punk knows that. He simply believes he can handle whatever comes next. The future of the conflict. This confrontation opens multiple paths forward. A direct rivalry between Punk and Theory feels inevitable, whether it culminates in a match or repeated violent encounters. There is also the looming possibility of escalation, with allies stepping in and tensions multiplying. Punk thrives in conflict, but sustained pressure tests even the most hardened champions. Theory, meanwhile, has the opportunity to redefine himself through resistance. Promos, confrontations, and endurance will matter more than athletic highlights. This story isn't about who can move faster, it's about who can survive sustained intensity. If handled correctly, this feud could transform both men, one reinforcing his legacy, the other forging one. Heading toward an unpredictable 2026. As WWE moves toward its biggest stages in 2026, this moment feels less like an isolated incident and more like a foundation. Punk has made it clear he is not winding down. He is tightening his grip. His unpredictability keeps audiences locked in, and his willingness to target anyone keeps the landscape unstable. Austin Theory now exists inside that instability. Whether he rises or falls will depend on how he responds to being singled out by one of the most unforgiving champions in modern wrestling. One thing is certain. The speculation is over. The violence has begun, and the consequences are just getting started.